Hey guys, happy Thursday, also known as Friday Eve. I wanted to come on and make this video because I think it's something important that I want to discuss. I kind of want to get my point of view out there. And I know I've talked about this topic once before, but recently there was quite a heated discussion in one of the Facebook groups. And so I wanted to revisit it because I wanted to share my thoughts, but also delve in a little bit deeper to why I feel the way I do. So the topic is about silent auctions, and this definitely will upset some people. It did the first time I talked about it, and I'm sure it will again. It seems to strike a chord in some people, some collectors that aren't looking at it from the same point of view that I am. So I want to shed some light on it. And if any artists do happen to watch this video, they might see it from a collector's point of view of why I dislike silent auctions. So I'm going to preface this whole conversation by saying right off the bat that I don't like auctions or auction style selling at all. Not any way, shape, or form. I've never liked eBay. I rarely have ever, even early on when eBay was like the only place to sell dolls or other collectibles or things, I never liked participating. I rarely did. I don't understand why collectors don't see what the potential pitfalls and problems are of auction style selling. Some people think it's fine. I know that over time artists started to hate selling their dolls on eBay for a multitude of reasons. There's many reasons that go behind that from what I've talked to artists about. One is the fees. Nobody likes, they call it evil bay. A lot of artists do, and even collectors. There's a lot of fees. There's a lot of potential scammers that are not actual buyers. And it's a pain in the butt to have to kind of report it and get your, not have eBay take the fees, but it can be done. So I also used to share in the forum that I used to be part of, DollFan, when we would talk about auction style selling and why we didn't like it. I always tried to help collectors understand that, people that put in their proxy bidding, you're only bidding up yourselves if you're bidding literally the first day the auction starts. Then I tried to educate people that don't bid up until the last second because it's just, additional money you're losing, rather than using I used to use Easy Sniper bidding if I ever did perhaps buy from an auction. And that only bids up to my highest bid in the last literally less than a second. So less likely you're bidding up for days and days and days, and you're starting off way higher by the time you ever get to the last, few minutes of said auction. But I'm just not a fan of auctions, period. So, and it has no reflection on how I feel about the artist themselves. I just don't care for the way they're selling their dolls if they're using auctions. And I typically didn't buy any of my dolls, maybe one or two over the many years I've collected, through an actual auction bidding style sale. I would use buy it now if I was really interested because it was a set price, and if I were comfortable with it, I was fine with it. But that's generally the only time I use eBay. It's rare if I even go on the site anymore. But now, fast forward to not many artists like to use eBay. Not many artists are putting a set price out there for collectors to buy. Now we've moved up to silent auctions where the artist will put the doll up with a starting price, and then up until a certain point in time, collectors can email or message the artist what their highest bid is. Okay? Not the same as an eBay auction. So a lot of people, the collectors out there, aren't thinking this through clearly. If you're thinking what's the difference of an eBay auction? There's a huge difference. So I'm going to explain where the huge difference is. So those that may not have been aware of this might see a little bit more of why I just don't like them. There's more aside to the price, but I'm going to touch on the pricing first. So say you have two different collectors bidding on the same doll. Let's use, for an example, $10,000 is the starting price. Collector A emails and says to the artist, my highest bid is $15,000. Okay, now collector B also emails the artist and says, my highest bid is $17,000. So you've got two bids. Obviously, collector B has the highest bid. So then what the artist does is lets the collector A know that they are now outbid, and they get to put in yet another high bid. So they will keep emailing back and forth or messaging back and forth if collector A wants to go above that original $17,000 high bid. So if they come back at $19,000, collector A now has the high bid. So my issue with that, and let's say it ends there and collector A ends up paying $19,000 because that was the high bid on the doll. That means there was $2,000 wiggle room. The artist doesn't take the next highest bid, like eBay. If you bid higher than another bidder, they're not taking your highest bid altogether. It's the next highest bid above the original high bid. Meaning if someone bid on eBay for a doll for, we'll use the same example. High bid on one was $15,000, or I'm sorry, $17,000. And then the other, eBay notifies the collector A that they've been outbid. The next bid would be in a small increment above that highest bid. Not $2,000. I don't know whether it be $100. I don't know what their increments are on eBay or how they choose those increments, but it's definitely not a $2,000 difference. So that, my friends, is where the huge way overpaying in silent auctions happens. Because the artist is taking the highest bid and a collector will actually pay, whether it's $3,000 more than the original higher bid, it doesn't matter. They're taking the highest price, leaving way too much money on the table to spend on a collectible item. That's my opinion. If I can get a doll for $10,000 instead of $19,000, of course I would want to pay less as a collector. That's smart. It's called, getting the most for your money. And so the silent auction styles are just way overpricing these dolls. And that's my opinion. I'm entitled to my opinion. Some people highly disagree with me and find nothing wrong with throwing money, extra money around and overpaying. Some people are comfortable with that. I, however, am not. I have always tried to be very smart with my doll purchases over the many years that I've been collecting. I've been very calculated in the way that I go about trying to invest my money because I have to think about down the road, is that doll sellable? Is the amount of money I put into the doll reasonable to potentially get the most or as much of it as I can back out of the doll later on? Now, I know not all collectors think this way. That's fine. But I know that based on my type of collecting that I'm only going to be looking for the high-end silicone dolls in my future. So if I let go of Monroe, I want to know that I have my investment back in order to put into another doll, another high-end silicone doll that I am interested in. And if I overpay for her, I've lost a lot of money in that. So if I paid $20,000 for her and I can only get 10 out of her, that's a loss for me. It's a huge loss. And why would I want to take a loss when I've already for years taken loss on a lot of doll sales of most any doll that I've sold? Not all, but most. Majority of dolls we sell on the secondary market, we take a hit on. So I think that the issue with the silent auctions that artists aren't thinking about is the fact that, if they want to continue to sell to a more broad market of collectors, the prices have to be somewhat reasonable. They have to be doable, or else you're limiting yourself to such a small pool of collectors. And it's going to end up eventually where the artist is going to saturate the market because nobody can afford the dolls. So that's my issue for pricing. So another thing that I just don't like about the silent auction style, where it's just between the artist and the collector only knowing those prices, is that when the collector does by chance go to sell the doll on the secondary market later on, nobody knows what the doll even went for. The price is unknown to the general public, whereas at least on eBay, you can find the record of, okay, that's what the doll sold for. That gives me an idea of what I'm comfortable paying for the doll based on the original price. And like I said before, this has nothing to do with not liking the artist. It became a heated discussion with a couple of other collectors that thought that by bringing this particular topic up about happened to be one particular artist at the time, but it's all silent auctions we're kind of talking about. It's not that we think the artist is shady or we think that the artist is hiding something. It's not that, but there is a lack of transparency there. We don't see what the doll originally sold for. And I have to say, I don't 100% trust collectors to be honest when they sell their dolls on. It's happened to me in the past. I've been burned and I found out that, I was lied to about what the original value of certain dolls were. So for me, I think transparency is very important amongst the doll community to know where the value should be at and what the doll might be worth later on. And if we never know the original price, it's hard for us as collectors to do that. And I do think that it's blowing up the prices overall for all dolls. So it's turned into, whether it's a kit prototype or if it's an edition fully finished doll that to me I think has more value than a kit. The kit prototype kits are going for insane amounts of money, higher than a lot of higher or as high as edition dolls, and to me they're just not valued the same. And I don't think a lot of collectors know the difference between the two, which also muddies the waters. I just think that there's a lot of gray going on in the doll community with buying and selling, and it kind of just throws everything out of whack with pricing and knowing what it should be valued at what. And I'm old school. I've been in this community for a long time, and this is just, I don't know, it's turning everything upside down on what I know is a good value versus what might not be worth a certain amount of money, because there's such a mishmash of dolls going for such a high amount right from the artist. And I don't know, I don't see it as being a good thing. I miss the days when artists used to find a price that they were happy with, set that price for the doll, and first come, first serve, buy it now through their website, through Facebook, through Instagram. Those are the potential best ways that collectors feel the most comfortable. Then you're not bidding against somebody. You're not in a bidding war. You don't get caught up in the frenzy of it. The artist has the comfortable price that they're happy with to let the doll go, and everybody wins. I don't know what happened to that style of selling, because I didn't see a problem with it. I don't see where there was, any big issue from any artist by selling that way, other than they want more for their dolls. So in the back of my mind, I wonder, okay, so why not set a price? If you know what you're happy with to get out of the doll, set the price. Let us choose whether or not we're comfortable with buying it for that price, and that be that. I think that's the simplest way. I wish artists would go back to selling that way. Will they? Probably not. I have voiced my opinion to artists. I've voiced my opinion in different forums. I've voiced my opinion in multiple places, clearly here on my channel. And I have yet to see any of these artists going to silent auction style go back to just one set price. And that is really, it's disheartening, because I really think that eventually that style of selling is gonna not be good for the doll community overall. I'm not sure exactly the effects it's gonna have, but I think that those collectors that have bought that way, that way overpaid, will never ever see their investment back. They're gonna take a huge hit if they choose to let the doll go later on, and nobody likes to take a loss. But those are my thoughts, guys. I'm not trying to offend anybody. I'm not specifically speaking about one particular artist. It's all artists that are doing the silent auction style that I just don't care for. It's not my first choice. I will probably never, ever really participate in any of these silent auctions. because I think that you're always going to overpay. And I'm not comfortable doing that. So I think that my favorite way to find dolls has become the secondary market. As much as I would love to have a doll directly from the artist, it looks like it's probably not going to be in the cards for me. And I just have to accept that, because I will not overpay for a doll. And what's the right amount? Only each collector knows, but I know that what these dolls are selling for now is not what I want to pay for a well-made doll. I'm not saying that the artists don't deserve to get the price they get for dolls. I just am not comfortable paying that at this point, and won't be in the future. But that is just my take on it, guys. You can comment your thoughts below. Like I said, I know that this video is going to upset some people, and that's okay. Sometimes it's, you know, it's all about hearing different perspectives. I've heard multiple other collectors talk about this. I've heard nothing from artists. I wish artists would put out their thoughts behind why they want to do the silent auctions, but I highly doubt we're going to hear from them about that, because currently it works for them and they're getting really good prices for their dolls. So I don't see it discontinuing, although like I said, my hope is that artists will go back to setting one price for a doll and selling them as is, and the same price for all dolls within each same edition. So that's my thoughts, guys. Here's little Monroe. She's still in her little sleeper with her little headband, hanging out in her pod. And we're just hanging out today because I was home. I woke up with a wicked, terrible headache, and did not decide to go to work because it just wasn't feeling great. But here we are making a video. So I hope you guys are having a great Thursday. And please do share your thoughts and comments below. I'd really like to hear about them. I do think it's a discussion that if more artists hear that we're not happy about it and we don't like this style, maybe something will change. Never hurts to try. But anyways, guys, I hope you have a great rest of your day, and we will see you all soon. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.